One of the most disruptive forces in the Australia market, as well as globally, has been the emergence of exchange-traded funds, which have captured the attention of investors based on the instant diversification they can offer at a very low cost.
The ETF market in Australia was, I think you could say, very nascent. The products had really been introduced only in 2001. And when we did our launch, I think we added to the product range available and made that sort of set up to about 25 products. So it was certainly very early days and something Australian investors and advisors didn't really know a lot about.
The trends that we've seen is the average trade size in the ETFs has come down significantly, which sort of suggests that ETFs are becoming more of a traded financial product. So Vanguard has played a role in that change by launching the first multi-asset class ETFs, the diversified ETFs, as well as launching the first fully transparent, actively managed ETFs.
The big trend in ETFs in Australia in the last 10 years has really just been about the growth, the 20 times growth from about 19,000 investors 10 years ago to 385,000 investors today. And if I compare that to something like the online broking market, that's only grown by 100,000 people in the same period. 41% of investors, retail investors now, want active ETFs. And that's great news because I know Vanguard is working hard and is releasing active ETFs into the market. And when that supply meets demand, they're the moments where we see explosions of growth. So I think there's a lot of good news ahead.
In our business, we've been using the core satellite approach to investing for quite some years. ETFs enable us to transact at low cost, but also very efficiently. But also ETFs enable us to rebalance client portfolios very efficiently.
Vanguard takes a very client-centric approach to working with investors in the ETF space. That is, we ensure that investors have the appropriate information and education to understand the use of and benefits of ETFs in their portfolio.
Globally, ETFs only account for 5% of overall equities and less than 1% of fixed income assets. So we believe there is room to grow for ETFs against a backdrop of very positive regulatory changes, big changes in technology, and an increased adoption by retail investors.
I joined Vanguard the week that we launched ETFs in Australia, and 10 years later, our message has not changed. ETFs enable advisors to construct investment portfolios that are truly diversified, both across and within all major asset classes. They're very low cost and transparent, and you can access all this in just one trade.
With an ETF, you need to be able to trust that that issuer can actually do what they're supposed to do with that ETF, and so they need to have sufficient skill and be able to design and construct that to do what it's supposed to do. The choice with Vanguard is amazing. There's an ETF for anyone and everyone and any risk profile.
Will Australian investors keep embracing ETFs? Absolutely. They've shown over the last 10 years what a innovative, sort of disruptive force they can be within the investing world, and they've given investors the opportunity to build portfolios that are tailored to their personal needs. It's been 10 years since Vanguard entered the ETF market in Australia, and we've seen strong growth across the whole product range. I think the next 10 years are just as exciting as we see investors embracing what has essentially been the democratising of investing for the future.
This is just the beginning for the ETF industry in Australia. As ETFs continue to gain mainstream acceptance, there is a significant opportunity for this marketplace to grow. We want to continue to provide high quality, low cost choice for investors, driving scale in our offerings, and continue to play our part in growing the overall ecosystem for ETFs in Australia.